So I played Tell Me Why this past month.
You should tell me why you played that game.
I will tell you why once I give you all of the key information because I'm a fucking nerd. It is an episodic adventure game developed by Don't Nod Entertainment and published by Xbox Game Studios. It consists of 3 chapters released for Microsoft Windows and Xbox One in late 2020. It follows a pair of twins, Tyler and Allison, with the ability to communicate with each other through telepathy, who reunite after 10 years in their hometown in rural Alaska and investigate the death of their mother. A reoccurring theme of the story is the fallacy of memory, as the narrative explores the twins' childhood trauma and how they may each remember pivotal moments differently. The game was noted for being the first AAA video game to feature a trans character as a main character, with Tyler Ronan after it was announced in November 2019. The developers consulted with expert groups for its themes, notably GLAAD, which is an NGO monitoring coverage of queer people to ensure authentic and respectful portrayals of queer characters. And it also actually cast a trans man for the voice actor. So this is from Don't Nod, which is the developer behind a bunch of games, but the ones they're most famous for are Life is Strange, which this is an unofficial Life is Strange game. It's not in-universe, it doesn't connect at all, but it's a very similar style with a similar tone and a similar storytelling focus. But it's not a Life is Strange game, we swear. It was made in a transition period between the last 2 games, so Life is Strange 2 and True Colors, because it's not Life is Strange 3. This was still on the old engine, but it was an Unreal Engine 4. But this was with like their old infrastructure, basically. So it doesn't play like True Colors, which I ranted about being extremely like modern in comparison to the previous games. So this was definitely made for like a smaller budget with a smaller demographic, but I think this is one of my favorite games of the past that's released in the past few years would probably be a good way to put it, because I play games from all over the place. I'm a massive sucker for story-based like point and click adventure games. No matter how like technically busted they are, I'm a massive sucker for it. The big thing with this game that I think differentiates it from a Life is Strange title is, frankly, it takes its stuff a lot more seriously. The tone is mostly serious, but it's not dreary. There are plenty of moments of levity. It's a game about life, you know, but because it does dive into some more explicitly difficult themes like child abuse and lots of other stuff like that, it requires a little bit more seriousness than the Life is Strange games, which blanket statement cover everything, but in a somewhat cartoonish or earnest, but very hyperbolic way, if that makes any sense, which I think is part of the appeal of those games, but can also be kind of yikesy if done poorly. Basically 10 years ago, so 2005, when the game flashes back to, there are these twins, Tyler and Allison. We don't know Tyler's previous name. He's never dead named. It's not even a thing. He was never given a dead name like in development cycle. It just doesn't exist. So they were twins and they're just kids, you know, they're vibing. And this story is about them discovering things about their mother after she died. So, I'm not going to get into any spoilers for this game. It's still pretty fresh. But it goes into like the synopsis kind of says, the main theme is the fallacy of memory. They both have telepathy, so they can communicate in their brains to each other, but also they can see like common memories, and you know, twinsies, it's a thing. They can like see memories like visually. It's really cool. And they see things differently, and it's partially a game mechanic. But you know, it gives you hints to collectibles, narrative clues, narrative paths, blah, 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 blah. As well as towards the end game, it will give you like drastically different endings.
Is it like Titanfall 2 when you switch to the future and the past and it changes the level?
I haven't played Titanfall 2's story yet.
I don't like you.
I'm getting there. I swear to God. It'll be one of my next games I play.
It's actually a quickie, so it'll be perfect for this.
So because it's primarily a narrative-based game, by the end of it, it will give you not massively different endings. Like, this isn't... Don't Nod games don't try to be Telltale games and how they market like, ooh, there's 12 endings. Like, you get there are two primary endings to this game where the twins' relationship has been strengthened or weakened. And there are various endings within those things, but the general plot doesn't change, which is totally fine. So yeah, it creates a whole bunch of really cool scenarios where, you're talking to people, you're having like narrative conversations, and the other twin is butting in from another room. Like, you can creatively get information out of people by using your collective memory. It's really cool. And just in general, like, fleshes out the story in a really nice way because you have two very different characters who are given equal narrative weight, or almost equal narrative weight. It's like a 55-45 split. And I just thought it was really well executed. All the story twists, while plenty of them are very crazy, they don't feel like they come out of nowhere. They feel not necessarily like you could have predicted them, but they feel like they work within the world. The other side characters are limited, but fairly well fleshed out. There's one romance option for only one of the twins, which is totally fine. I don't know. It's just really cool how it goes. It brings you to a familiar setting from both of these characters' childhoods, but one of them has never left, and the other one has been gone for 10 years, and also literally changed before they came back. So they have an entirely different relationship with the people that they meet, and how they recontextualize old events and new information, old information, blah, blah, blah. And that includes about their mother, which is the big story stuff. I think it's really cool and extremely well done. There's some stuff that's a little tropey here and there. There's some bad lines of dialogue, like anything. But the general consistency of writing and performances, I think, is... I'd say top notch for a game of this size and scale. Visually speaking, it looks like a Don't Nod game. The textures are bad. The animation rigs are pretty good, and the optimization is mid. The setting is gorgeous. It's in rural Alaska, so it just so pretty. It's like late winter, so it involves ice fishing and gorgeous sunrises and ferry rides, and oh my gosh, it's beautiful. Makes for fantabulous screenshots. But the individual textures are really rough. I played this on my computer, which is not a gaming laptop. It's just a pretty solid laptop. I played it on medium settings, locked at 30 frames. This is not a game you need to play at 60 frames. And I didn't have any tech problems, but God forbid, if I cranked it up to high settings, my PC would explode. Just the textures are very low quality, but the animations themselves, I think, are very well done. The motion capture is very good. The performances are subtle enough, as well as having a lot of good meat and potatoes on them. I didn't have any crashes. I have played this game through twice, but my most recent playthrough, literally no tech problems, aside from it just not looking good texture-wise. Fairly low load times. I don't know. Just the technology is just poorly optimized. It's a studio quirk, and it's a quirk of the subgenre of games. It's just expected. The sound design, I think, was extremely good, particularly for Don't Nod. Their games are very vibes. All of them are. Life is Strange in particular is very overt, particularly True Colors, I think, which is why I liked it so much. They have officially licensed soundtracks. You can listen to all the hipster music. This game is a bit less overt, but I think the actual design, sound design work and Foley work is really, really good. The sound mixing is phenomenal. Just, it sounds delicious. Total playthrough was 8 hours roughly for my first playthrough, and my second one was around 6. There are collectibles throughout the world, but there are very few. There's, I think, about a dozen, as well as probably a dozen optional achievements, which you can opt in to get if you choose the right paths. A basic guide gets you through most of it very easily. It's not super distracting. And the collectibles are in particular really cool because they are little figurines that the twins' mother made for them while they were children. So they're different characters in this world. And it's kind of a general, a lore element is so the kids reference themselves as goblins. They're twin, they're like twin little goblins. They hoarding treasure and shit and whatever. And all of the characters in all the people in the town are different characters in this fictional world, which apparently was written by their mother. It's a really cool dynamic. So you try to figure out who the characters are later in life as the characters are adults now and they don't totally remember everything the same. It creates a nice little air of mystery, nothing terribly, mind blowing. But it's nice. They're also just really high quality models. They're just cute little figurines of this one's the princess, this was their mom, blah, blah, whatever. The bad guy looks really cool, whatever. It's just cute little stuff, which give you basically diary entries. That's about it, honestly. It's a very holistically designed game. The collectibles, the optional achievements, and all paths can be achieved in 20 hours tops if you're really shitty at the game. It's not short, but it's thorough. It is designed to be more of an experience than a game. This is the way it goes with narrative-based stuff. And it's designed to tell a particular story rather than string you along for forever, just collecting stuff. And I really appreciate that. It's to the point. It gives you lots of time to breathe at the same time, and lets your own mind explore things, which I just think is nice. It's not as good as the next entry from Don't Nod, which is Life is Strange True Colors, but I would put this a solid step above both Life is Strange 1 and 2, just across the board. I just really, really love this game.
How much did you spend for it?
I believe $20 for all 3 episodes, which I don't believe I got on sale. I think I bought it full price. I purchased this. So part of, again, why this impacted me so strongly was I purchased this game and played it at a very relevant time in my life, whereas I needed some strong emotional storytelling to get me through life things. And I played it basically in one sitting. About, how long was that? 9 months ago now. And I bought it for $20 just because I needed something to play. And I was like, oh, Don't Nod has a different game I didn't know about. I bought it on my laptop. I played it in a hotel room.
That was when I moved out of Spencer's apartment.
Yes.
We separated, but we're still together.
Yeah. We just couldn't. I couldn't deal with living in a close space with you any longer.
I told you didn't have to live in the closet.
It was a $20 game, maybe $30 tops. I believe it launched at about $30, which I think is more than worth it. If you like these types of games, and if you just have some time to kill, honestly, even if you're not a total big fan of these types of games, I just think it's a really enjoyable thing to play. It's a good experiment if you want to dip your toe into games like this, but maybe not so teen drama stuff, which Life is Strange leans more into. I believe the most recent game moved away from that, which was a really, really good decision. But the first two games are on they're earnest. Yeah, teenagers in high school dealing with teenagers in high school stuff for the most part, which is good. But like, if you're not close to that age, the dated references will feel very dated, and you're gonna cringe. But this game is much less of that, and a lot more, to some extent, universal feelings like trauma from childhood, conflicted feelings about parents, death in the family.
The Agatha Christie book?
And then the more, I would say, niche subjects like...
Death in the Family is the DC comic. Death in the... I don't remember. There is definitely...
Death on the Nile.
That's what it is.
That's also the movie that came out this year. I really like this game. Strong recommend.
Will you replay it again?
At some point, I will. I have all the achievements and I have all the collectibles, but I will just play through the story for fun at some point. I'll uninstall it off of my computer, but at some point I'll boot it up again. I will remember it very well. I'll put it that way. I'm not going to forget about this.